Hey everyone, again, thank you so much for attending the webinar. This is the fourth week that we've done this training. This week was all about how to overcome seller objections. I've got the scripts inside of the email. I've got all the value that we talked about. And again, thank you so much for coming. I know your time is valuable. I know we wear a ton of hats. And if you're truly focused on mastering your skills to take your income to the whole next level, we're going to keep delivering a ton of value. Again, thank you so much. The audience keeps growing and growing and growing. And without further ado, here's your scripting. Here's your recording from video 4 or week 4. Enjoy.
Oops.
And so we're looking to find those motivated and qualified, and cancel and expired, open houses, all these different areas. We're going to come across people, even internet leads, right? Most people that are looking to buy, or many people that are looking to buy, they need to sell in order to buy. People coming into an open house, they're sellers, they're future upsizers, they're people that are getting a temperature check. Expired and canceled, half of the people that expire list immediately. But these people, they're not just going to say, oh, you're in real estate, that's phenomenal, you happen to be here, I'm going to use you, no problem whatsoever. And what I've found is that most agents close. We've heard that thing, always be closing, right? ABC, always be closing. When I was in my early 20s, man, I loved the ABC thing. Like, it was a alpha male, raw, hang up or sign up. And I burned out, and it was so toxic and it was so bad that one of my mentors, who was selling 100 homes at the time when I was working for a company called Agent Jet, he let me know. He said, why are you doing that? And I said, well, I'm looking to make sure that everybody knows my value. And he's like, listen, if people don't understand your value and you're talking to them and they're not getting it, then that's okay too, because you want to attract the right fit. And so my whole sales system, my whole objection handling is not about convincing somebody or pressuring them, or it's all about active listening. And the first thing that I start with is understanding my prospect, understanding my customer, right? And so when we have low inventory, there are some benefits to listing a home in a low inventory market. Now, San Diego isn't like some of the Midwest, or isn't like some of the Northeast, where we're talking about really cold winters and we're talking about an actual seasonal shift. But every single November, December, January, we do see some prices dropping. And with interest rates jumping up into the 7.5, almost 8, lower qualified buyers seeing 8, we are probably going to see a little bit of a downshift when it comes to pricing. And so for a lot of sellers out there, they're in this space where they have this price that they want. And if they can't get their price, they're not going to move forward. And one of the worst things that we can do for our businesses is kind of roll the dice. Like in 2020, in the middle of 2020 or 2021, you could have a seller that wanted to overprice their listing by 20, 30, 40, 50K. And you could put them under a 6-month agreement. You're like, well, if I don't sell it in the first month, by month 2, it's going to be worth it, right? We'll just appreciate our way there, right? And so it's no big deal. But in this market, pricing and getting the price and all that good stuff, it's super, super important. And we most certainly don't want to list properties and roll the dice and just hope and pray, right? The 3 Ps. We don't want to post it. We don't want to, what is it? Post, pray, and I don't know. I don't do the 3 Ps, but that's what a lot of agents will do, is they'll list the property, they'll put it at a price, they'll post it on the MLS, and they'll pray that it comes through. And oftentimes that's going to burn you. So the number one most important thing to understand, and this is my own internal rule that I put with me, it is never okay to get frustrated with a prospect that's uneducated or ill-informed. Okay, I'm going to say this again. There is absolutely no excuses to get frustrated with a prospect that is uneducated or ill-informed. I personally believe it's my job to provide people with a phenomenal education around reliable information that guarantees they're in the best possible position to make the right decision for them and their family. And by the way, that's a script, right? And so when I talk to sellers, by the way, oftentimes a lot of my hooks to get them to set appointments with me, I say, hey, listen, if I could show you a way to get the most amount of money possible with the least amount of stress on your preferred timeline, and I could deliver a phenomenal education, it would almost guarantee that reliable info helped you make the best decision. Is that something that would be of value to you, right? That's the hook. That's I've given you everything that you possibly could ask for, And does that make sense? Now, as we get really good at closing, we can layer in some of the particulars to show them that we're listening. So for example, in a particular is like on your timeline, I might be able to say, you know, if I could show you how to get the most amount of money with the least amount of stress and get you to Ohio on June 1st with everything locked up, is that something you would be interested in? Right. And then they throw up some sort of breaks. Right? We reach out to these people. They're looking to move forward. They want their pricing. We want to make sure that we are setting an appointment. But again, going back to this ABC thing, do not be in a rush to close. Okay. I used to make this analogy when I was young and single was, you know, selling prospects was a lot like looking for a partner. If you go out to a bar and somebody walks in, and the moment they walk in, you instantly run up and say, hey, what's up? You want to get married? The rejection rate will probably come back just as quickly. However, if you strike up a conversation and you truly seek to understand the individual's needs, their wants, what they hate, what pains them, and you focus on showcasing value through your form of questioning, you're going to inspire them to be inquisitive about you, and then they're going to give you the underhanded pitches to close. So for me, I have a couple rules. One, it's never okay to get frustrated with these people. They're asking silly questions. And, you know, for us, it comes from frustration where like, and I've been there, by the way. And the reason why I have my rule is because I've allowed myself to get frustrated numerous times, and nobody wants to deal with a frustrated salesperson. They feel pressured. They feel there's no trust there. There's no rapport there. They question every step you make. And so for me, it was like, oh, okay, if I'm gonna build a big business and I'm gonna produce a lot of sales, then I need to be able to handle the objections, and I need to get people where they wanted to go. And in 2020 and 2021, which was my last 2 full years in production, where I was in production 100%, I sold 88 homes. And most of them were buyers. About 60% were buyers, about 40% were sellers. But I had to get really good at helping buyers understand expectations. I had to get really good at getting sellers to position the property right. And, you know, anybody could sell a property then, but things have definitely changed. And right now we're taking about 4 or 5 expired listings a month. We're setting about 8 to 9 appointments a month. And that's a team of me and 4 agents that actually really dial. Out of the 13, some of them are spheres, some of them are open houses, but what we tend to see is that there's about 4 of us that are actively.
Am I going the right way?
If I hear some background music, I'm just going to mute you. It's not personal. It's just for distraction purposes. So back to you know, we're going to be patient with the prospect. And so when they ask these questions, you know, for example, like the objection, anybody ever get the I don't know if you ever known this, but Redfin charges 1%. You know, will you do the listing for 1% because Redfin charges 1%? Anybody else ever get that? Sometimes agents get really upset because they know how hard they work, and they know how much value they bring, and they know that they're worth more money, because they also know that Redfin and Redfin is the #1 company that has the most amount of properties that don't sell. Part of it's a volume play, meaning that's their volume that they do. So their numbers are bigger, which means their actual quantity is bigger. But in that moment, you'll get agents that get really frustrated. Like, yeah, I'm not a discount agent, right? And that defense mechanisms comes out, or yeah, well, I sell the home for more money, right? And they come out and they get frustrated with them. And I've done it a million times where it's like, oh, I just wanted this to go easy, or I had a bad week, or whatever it may be. Rule number 1, don't ever get frustrated with people. Don't ever get frustrated with people. And we've all been there, but number 1 is don't ever get frustrated. Number 2 is seek to understand. Okay. The key to overcoming objections and handling objections. Okay. The key to it is understanding exactly what they mean. Okay. And layering questions are the most important part. I mean, if you've ever, and we'll review some sales calls, and there's stuff on my YouTube channel of me handling sales calls. One of the compliments that I love the most is one of the agents that was working, he's on here, Surreal, was listening to some calls. He's like, holy shit, you really labor on these calls. Like, I would have wrote that guy off, you know, 4, 5, 6 minutes earlier. And for me, when I hear some stuff that comes out, and whether it's aggressive in nature, or whether it's ignorant, or whether it's abusive or whatnot, I don't let my ego get involved. The ego tries to cost us money, right? And don't get me wrong, like it still goes off, but I've learned to control it, and I've learned to take a deep breath, and I've learned to ask them the right questions to get into their space and get more information, because I know that if I can understand what makes them tick, and I can understand what their real values are and their real issues are, then I can deliver them a conversational question formed in the statement that leads to an appointment. Like earlier, if I could show you this, if I could show you, would you then? Okay. And so let's do this. Let's move this screen over here, and let's go ahead and share the screen. By the way, everybody should have got the video from week 1 that we did the training on the cold call conversion. You should have gotten that email last couple days. Video 2 from last week is about to go out, and video 3, we've got the process aligned. Sean's been out of town, but that will go out next. So let me share here. Okay. There's a few things that we've talked about and we've layered in. Handling objections is often also about letting the objection kind of just roll off your back, like water off a duck's back, right? Because if somebody comes in and they say, I'm not interested, and we instantly are coming out and going, oh, so you're not interested, right? Like that's just us being frustrated or not knowing what to say. The way to handle the objections is just not to even let the energy affect it. And I always think of it this way, and you'll see me do this sometimes, like when I'm on sales calls. Like they'll come out with an objection, they're like not interested, and you'll see me start to move my hands like this and then move it to the side, right? And there's power. I look kind of funny and kind of weird, but it helps with the energy. So they'll say, hey Josh, you know what, are you an agent? Yes, I'm an agent. Okay, I'm not interested in speaking to you. And it's just simply, hey, no worries, I totally get that. Who wants to speak to real estate agents? I work in the business and I barely want to speak to them. Totally get where you're coming from, right? But it's not buying into it, or, hey, we're not selling the home, or we're not selling right now. And sometimes what happens in your head that goes off, what happens is in your head, you go, oh, bad lead, or, oh yeah, we'll send them out too, Dean. I'm going to, what I'm doing is, with the email, you should have got the cold call conversion script as well. And if you didn't get it, you can just email me. It's, Josh P at, here, I'll put it in here. Here, let me give you the Pono Wisdoms one. Let me do the unbranded one. Just email me if you didn't get the scripts. So when it comes to that little thought in your head, and this happens so much, is like we're qualifying it before we even know we even have a clue. Yeah, I'm not interested in selling. Oh, this isn't a good lead, right? You're done right then and there. Right? You're already done, because even when you have that moment, and it's a trained thing, it comes from repetition and process, and it comes from success of pushing through. But when you hear that, hey, I'm not interested. Hey, I hate real estate agents. Hey, we're taking the home off the market. Hey, I'm not going to sell until next year. Hey, I'm not interested in speaking about why the house didn't sell. All that stuff. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, hey, I totally understand. That's exactly why I'm calling. Like literally, no matter what they say, Josh, I'm not talking to you. I hate real estate agents. Hey, totally get where you're coming from. That's exactly why I'm calling. Real simple. Okay. Yeah, by email. It'll come from josh@ponoisms.com. And so when we're handling this, just, hey, no worries. And we go right back to the script. Hey, no worries. That's exactly why I'm calling. I noticed that 123 Main Street did not come off the market. When or did not sell. When are you interviewing the best agents to get the property sold? Okay. Hey, we're not selling. Again, no problem. We took it out. We took it out. No, hey, no problem. When are you interviewing the best agents to get the home sold? When are you going to try to sell the home again? Hey, we've decided right now we are not selling, right? We decided right now that we are not selling today, or we're not selling next month, or we're not relisting now. Hey, no problem at all. That's exactly why I'm calling. When life throws you a curveball and you do decide to relist the property, are you interviewing agents to get the property sold? Okay, and I'll send you guys the script, but so many objections aren't actually objections. They're just knee-jerk reactions. They've got their scripts. Phone call, salesperson. They don't care about me. They're average, and I don't want to talk to them. No, I'm not interested right now. Hey, no problem. I get that, and I'm telling you that that's exactly why I'm calling. Okay, and you've got it right here where the scripting that we provide, you just simply modify the script a little bit. Yeah, we're not selling right now. Hey, no problem. That's exactly why I'm calling. When you do sell, what are you looking for in the agent that you're going to hire? What are the top 3 things that you want to be different next time that happened this time that wasn't pleasant? You're not hidden. It's all good. It's all good. We're calling from the headquarters here. My wife thought she was hiding. I'm like, I can see you. So when it comes to it, just modify the script a little bit. Hey, I want to work with an agent. I want to work with an agent that's going to give me a lower commission. Hey, no problem. That's exactly why we should meet. What are you looking for other than an agent that provides a super valuable commission plan for you? What are you looking for besides that? Don't have to make a big deal out of it. Hey, are you willing to change your commission? Hey, I love that you brought that up. And it sounds like you're looking for a great value. The previous agent did not provide enough value for their commission rate, and you're looking for a better experience. Is that right? Awesome. Other than the commission rate, what else are you looking for? What went wrong? What don't you want to happen the next time? Okay. Understand that they are just in a painful position. They're nervous about selling their greatest asset. They're nervous about not getting money. They're nervous about a bad experience. They're nervous that you're just trying to get them to sell right now, even though their timeline doesn't say that that's what they want to do. They're nervous that they're not going to be able to trust you. They're nervous that you're going to brag about yourself and not listen to what's important to them. I'm just going to blast it out to everybody. I'm just going to make sure that the marketing team resends it all when it comes to the script, right? So if they're nervous about all this stuff, I mean, sometimes it's almost childlike, right? You know, our children, I've got 2 kids, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. And sometimes they come out and they throw a big fit about stuff. And I just say, hey, no problem. I understand that's upsetting. And this is what we're doing, right? And we just say, hey, no problem. That's how it goes. And this is what we're going to do, right? The important part though, about this is the tonality. The tonality of you truly not being frustrated with them and the pace in which you speak. Oftentimes when the objections come fast, we speed up because we're nervous they're going to hang up on us, or we're nervous we're not going to get enough time to present our value. Okay. And so oftentimes though, you can go the opposite direction. They're speaking quickly. You can slow it down so that every single little word, right? And oftentimes people don't want to interrupt you, right? Power. Hey, I completely understand where you're coming from. And all you're really after is somebody that can absolutely listen to your needs, provide you a solution that'll get you to the next place that you want to go with the least amount of stress. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Right? We go low, right? Because their guard is up when they're throwing us that objection. They're posturing, they're coming at us. And what we really want to do is just say, hey, it's fine, it's cool. I'll give you an example. I was at a listing presentation one time, and I'm sitting in front of 2 people, an Italian and a Filipino lady, and they are awesome. And they are also from the East Coast, and they are slightly aggressive. And when I say slightly, I'm being polite. And I'm sitting there and I'm working on the pricing strategy, and I'm working on the listing presentation of the net seller sheet. And I'm going through that, and I say, you know, hey, okay, out of curiosity, how much do you owe in the house? And they like lean in and they're like, that's none of your business. It's a weird, awkward moment. This is at a listing presentation for an expired. I said, well, hey, listen, I totally get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to figure out what your credit card numbers are, your social security number. I just wanted to ask that question because I can then give you a really solid estimation of what you'll walk away with. But they had some sales background. So they didn't want to give me that information because they were afraid that I was going to use that information to leverage them against on how they could get to the next spot without listing it at their price and listing it at my price. And so their guard was massively up. And I said, hey, no problem. Totally get it. I'm not asking for your credit card number, your social security. That's all private, obviously. I wanted to provide you the most relevant information about what you're going to walk away with once we get the property sold, which is obviously what you want, right? And they literally lean in. They're like, it's none of your business. And I just sat there and I looked at both of them and I smiled and I said, oh, you guys are going to be awesome. This is going to be fun. I like you. Right. And that energy, they were like, but that moment let them know I'm okay by this. You can be that way. That's fine. I'm not intimidated. It's okay. Right. And it's the pace and the tonality and the energy in which we accept the objection. Right. You can make a mountain out of you can make a mountain out of a molehill or you can just dissipate. The 3 steps, CVQ, right? And this is the technicality of it. Sometimes you can just ignore them. Sometimes you can just ignore them because it's just a knee-jerk reaction. You can say, hey, no problem. That's exactly why I wanted to talk to you. You know, for example, well, what makes you so special, Josh? Oh, that's such a good question. It's one of my favorites, actually. That's exactly why we need to meet. When is a good time to meet with you and your husband? Well, what is it that you do special? Oh, gosh, I've got like 38 different things from the moment I walk in the door to the moment we get the property sold. It'll be completely different than my competition, which is exactly why we need to meet in person so that you get the best representation of my value, which is what you want, right? Okay, sometimes we can just ignore it, put it on the shelf. Hey, we'll come back to that and they'll forget about it. Okay, the 3 steps to handling an objection or a question that they really want answered, or maybe they're putting pressure on you, or maybe they are just giving you a real solid objection, okay, is cushion and value and question. Okay, cushion, value, question. When an objection comes out, their guard is here. Okay, my job first, before anything else, before I need to get them to open up. I need to build rapport with them. I need to find out what's going on with them. I need them to trust me enough to give me relevant information so I can get them to actually show up at the appointment. The first thing I have to do is I got to get their guard down. I got to get their armor off. Okay, and so one of the things that we can do is we can lower their guard by using a cushion. Okay, and a cushion comes in the form of, I can appreciate that. You know what? That makes complete sense. I understand where you're coming from. Gosh, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And the key to a really good cushion is to sell the cushion, right? And in the beginning of my career, somebody would say, you know, I'm not going to buy from you because you don't got enough leads for the ad spend. And I would say, yeah, I can appreciate that, but here's the thing, right? And it didn't come off in the right fashion, right? It was just me pushing their concerns to the side. And so you can do that by slowing down, and you can say, you know, hey, gosh, thank you so much for sharing. Sometimes people won't open up to me. And for me to get you the best results, we got to open up, we got to build trust and build rapport. And ultimately, that's what you want. You want somebody that's on the same page with you, that's listening to your needs and can get you the results. That's what you're looking for, isn't it? Right? Step two is building value. Okay, so if somebody says, you know, I'm only going to, hey, what's your commission rate? Because I'm only going to list with somebody that charges me the least amount of money. Hey, you know what? Thank you for getting right to the point, because I don't want to waste your time. And I most certainly don't want to work with somebody that's not the right fit for me. So thank you so much for that. So what you're telling me is that in your eyes, a real estate agent's only value is to do the job as quickly, as efficiently, and for as cheap as possible. Is that the only thing you care about? Meaning, if you had to work 25 hours to do your showings and whatnot, do all the showings yourself, put out open signs yourself, do the open houses. If you had to do half of the job, but the agent was cheap, is that something you would be interested in? Okay, we want to make sure that we're building value around what's going on. So for example, I have an agent that I already have in mind. This happens a lot, even with referrals, or even when we get to people, they'll say, you know, hey, thanks for reaching out, but I think I already have an agent in mind, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to use them. Hey, totally appreciate that you found an agent that can help you. You know, on average, we've helped clients net 2% more on their sale than 90%, which is 2% higher than, you know, all the other realtors out there. We have a very high track record. That is something that's important to you, right? Taking home more money. This just happened in real time where one of the agents in my office, she had found a seller, $1 million listing in Oceanside, California. She had reached out to him and said, hey, I'm following up with you on, thank you for the compliment, Carol. I'm following up with you on your home. It came off the market. We specialize in selling properties that the other agents can't sell. And so we were curious when you're interviewing agents. And she says, I already have an agent in mind, and I'm going to use you. And Diana responds, you know, I can appreciate where you're coming from. There's so many agents. And at the end of the day, all you want to do is get the most amount of money for your house with the least amount of stress. Is that right? Yes, it is. Hey, you should talk to the owner of the office. He's the specialist in this. And she set that appointment. She's a newer agent in her development. She set the appointment for me. I got on the phone, and for about 15 minutes, all I did was listen to her and talk to her about this other agent that she thought. And the objection was, he's the only one that's been following up with me for months and months and months, because it's been off the market for about 9 months. And he's never pushy, and he's always kind, and he's really authentic. And that's why we really, really like that. Hey, I totally appreciate being authentic is so important, and making sure that you can trust the agent that you're working with. It's the foundation to success. So I really appreciate that you prioritize that. And I can tell that that is something that has absolutely been, and kudos to him, that he's been so awesome, and that he's been following up with you for so long. And I really appreciate that. But at the end of the day, the nicest real estate agent on the planet, if they don't get the home sold, or if they sell it for $50,000 below market value, ultimately that wouldn't be a good experience for you, would it? Well, no, it wouldn't. Got you. So other than being authentic, and other than being genuine, and other than following up for 6 months relentlessly at the appropriate time, what else is important to you about an agent? Well, I'd want somebody that has, right? Okay. When we get these objections, and feel free, throw something in the chat that you get that you would want to see the same formula used. Somebody throw me an example. Any seller objection, any objection out there. All right, we'll go with I got objections. How about we have to think about it. I have to speak with my spouse. Those are good ones. I have to speak to my spouse. I love that we aren't ready to sell because of interest rates. Yeah. I'm just curious. Thank you, by the way, for everybody throwing in this stuff. I'm just curious about my value, not looking to sell. All right, look at that. Getting some stuff. Let's go down through it. All right, so we have to think about it. Surreal, where's that process coming out? At the end of a listing presentation?
It can be anywhere in the process. It could be in the introductory call as well.
All right, so let's break this down from a fundamental standpoint. If somebody says I have to think about it, I'm always focused on the objectionless sales presentation. Okay, I don't know if you guys know who Alex Hermosi is. Alex Hermosi is one of the best marketers on the planet. He owns a business called Acquisitions.com. He's one of the best lead generators on the planet. He is from the Russell Brunson clique, which is or crew, which is like ClickFunnels. He's been doing this for a long time. He wrote this book, $100 Million Offers, how to make offers so good people feel stupid for saying no. Okay. And so I'm always looking for the objectionless sales process where I've listened, right? The I got to think about it means you didn't hit the home run. They gave you a list of concerns, and maybe they were just surface and you didn't get deep enough. and you didn't build enough trust and you didn't build enough rapport. And when I say you, I mean me. I mean every salesperson. We've all gotten this objection or this statement at some point, sometime. And so when they say we have to think about it, the first thing is I'm like, okay, I'm missing details, because if they have to think about it, that means that I wasn't so overwhelmingly valuable to them. I hadn't provided them with such an amazing offer that they feel dumb for saying no, that there's something missing. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do, okay, and there's a couple different techniques that you can do to get around this. Okay. So one of the techniques is you can throw out ridiculous objections. Hey, are you nervous that my for sale sign, like let's say this was at the end of listing presentation, you say, so let's go ahead and get started. And they say, well, Josh, you presented a really great information and great presentation. I love everything, but I got to think about it. I totally appreciate it. It's a lot to take in. I've delivered a ton of value. And you know what? There's probably some things that we didn't answer. Are you concerned that, so can I ask, what's the biggest thing that's on your mind that has got a concern or a question in your mind? And they may say, which is the sometimes the most frustrating, they may say something like, well, I just got to think about it. Right. And thinking about it, the way sometimes we have hesitations. We have hesitations to go after it. I mean, throw me a thumbs up in the chat if you've ever hesitated when somebody says, I got to think about it. You've ever hesitated to really uncover that and open it up, because we've been pressured. We've been pressured by other salespeople, and we hate the feeling of being closed when we don't have trust or rapport with the salesperson, or we don't feel like they are doing the best to help us. And so because of our own personal experiences and because of the idea that we don't want to be that bad salesperson, we say, hey, no problem. Totally get it. I like to think about it, right? And we let that go. I've been there. But this is one of the best parts about learning how to handle objections correctly. You can have a conversation with them without being that bad person, without carrying that negative baggage. Take that baggage, drop it, let it go, move forward, because your skills will set you free. Okay. So when they come in and say that, hey, totally get it. It's a big decision. I appreciate where you're coming from. In my experience, when we need to think about it, it's because there's missing pieces of information that we haven't solidified in our head that that's the right fit for us. And the best way to get to a conclusion quickly, because no one likes to endlessly think about stuff, right? We like to make decisions. We like to move forward. We've got timelines. We've got places to go. We want to see progress as humans typically. My experience is that spending the time with the expert in the situation that has all the answers to all of our questions is the best way to do it. So let me ask you this. What concerns you the most about getting your home sold with our company? Okay. And notice that was a cushion, right? And that was a cushion and building some value and letting them know, I understand that there's definitely if it's either a no, I'm not a good fit. That means you've done all your thinking. It's a yes, I am your fit. You've done all your thinking, or you've got something to think about it, which means there's questions there. Now, it could be that they're just being nice and we totally flopped and they don't like us or they don't like our presentation and they just don't want to tell us because they don't like conflict. That's okay. But it's our job to uncover, is it more information that's needed, or is it just not a good fit? And if it's just not a good fit, we might as well try to get through it to find out. So that way we don't keep following up day after day. And then, because here's what happens, by the way, this is another little rule. You might want to write this one down. Protect your mindset at all costs.
This guy.
Protect your mindset at all costs as a salesperson, at all costs. Because here's what happens in sales. We let them go. We let them think about it. We tell ourselves we did a great job. We get home, wife, husband, how was the presentation? Pretty good. I'm pretty sure they're moving forward. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to do it. And then what happens is we wait and we call them and they don't answer. And then we call them again, and they don't answer. And then we get them on the line. They say, hey, sorry, you caught me at a bad time. Call me back later. And then we follow up with them. And then we have a bad day, and escrow blows up on fire. We got a contractor that we recommended that did a bad job and told the client something and blah, 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 blah. And then we're in that moment and we're like, you know what? I need a piece of good news. I'm calling John. John said he's got to think about it. It's been a week. I'm going to call John. And John's like, sorry, I went with somebody else. And it's like meltdown city. You got to have a drink or 7, right? And so we protect our mindset at all costs. And what I mean by that is we ask the question, hey, listen, usually from my experience, the best way to find out the information, the best way to get there, because you don't want to take forever to make a decision, right? You also don't want to make a decision right now, but you also don't want to take forever to make a decision. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Great. If we're missing information, humans, we want to get that information from the most experienced, the most skilled, the most knowledgeable person. We want to get that from them. And we want to get to it as quickly as possible because we don't want to sit in la la land waiting around for nothing. Is that right? Right. Great. So let me ask you about this. When it comes to the idea of me getting the property sold for the most amount of money, with the least amount of stress on your preferred timeline, what concerns you the most? Now, the one that gets us, again, going back to it, the one that gets us is when they're like, I just got to think about it. They don't give us anything. They don't open up with us, right? So again, sometimes we can get frustrated, like, oh, fine, right? But again, you have to stay calm. You have to stay cool. You have to stay collective. And of course, of course you've been here before, and of course you can work here through this before, again and again and again. And so when that happens, you can use a technique where you throw out fake objections. And you can get them you can get them off their guard. So Josh, I just got to think about it. Listen, I don't make decisions quickly. I gotta think about it. You know what? No problem. I totally get that. Are you concerned that you're not going to like my sign that I put in the yard? Is that what the issue is? Are you concerned that I'm going to sell your house for less money than it's worth? Are you concerned I'm not going to call you back? Are you concerned my marketing sucks? Are you concerned? Like, you can throw out these objections. Do you not like my hair? Right? And you can have some fun with it, right? But you can make it silly because sooner or later, they'll probably say, no, it's just that. No, it's just that. You can do that. Me personally, I like to give them a really good statement of, listen, I understand where you're coming from because I don't like to feel pressured about decision making, and I will never pressure you. I will pressure buyers to pay the most amount of money for this house till I am blue in the face. I never pressure clients because I build relationships with them that are long-term, and I don't care whether you sell today, tomorrow, the next week, the next month. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be growing. I'm going to be thriving. It's not my timeline. It's your timeline. But one thing that I'm curious about, right? Value. Hey, discard cushion, value. Hey, one thing I'm concerned about is that in my experience as humans, we don't want to make a decision instantly, but we also don't want to take forever to make one. We like to make progress. We like to make decisions. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, we would. Well, and they might even throw in there real quick. Well, yeah, just call me tomorrow. No problem. I'm definitely going to call you. What time is good for you too? Great. Back to my original point. When we are looking to make decisions, it's best to work with the people that have the most experience. So for example, if you're troubleshooting, let's just say you're troubleshooting a video game system. Do you want to talk to the 70-year-old who's never played a video game system? Or are you thinking about if you want to buy a video game system? Do you question it with the person that's never had one, never owned one? Or do you watch YouTube videos from the kid that has 38 video game machines and he's been playing video games for 15 years and he's a professional gamer, he makes $300,000 and he's tried every platform? Which one would you rather gather the information from? Right, exactly. So we want information from the experts. Okay. When it comes to my business and how it operates, there's nobody that understands the inner workings better than me. There's nobody who understands the team, and there's nobody that wants to understand the client to the fullest more than me. It's one of my highest priorities to serve you to the fullest extent. So quick question. When it comes to getting your house sold with us, what's the thing that sticks out in your brain where you're like, I'm not so sure? If you could just say one thing, what would it be? What's the one part where you're not absolutely convinced that God sent me to list your home? All right, let's see. Looking at the other ones. I had to speak with my spouse. I have to speak with my spouse is more of an error in process. So like if this one comes out, that means that we're presenting to not all the decision makers. Okay, there's 4 things that you need in order to make sales consistently with the least amount of resistance. Anybody want to do that? Want to make more sales with less resistance? You need 4 things at every appointment. You need to walk in knowing what their wants, their needs, and their pains are. You need to walk in knowing that they're somewhat motivated or qualified, right? That they want to do this. They have some sort of timeline. You need to know who the decision makers are, and are they both going to be there, or all 3 of them? You've got to have the decision makers in the room. And you also, last but not least, you need to make sure that they're controllable. And I don't mean that they're going to listen to every single thing, but they're not going to be that person that like, I'm hiring an agent that does it exactly the way I want. I don't care what they say. I've been doing this. I was licensed in 1974. I sold 2 FSBOs 2 decades ago, and I know what's going on. I've been around forever. Right? We need to be able to have a conversation with them. We need to be able to educate them. We need to be able to show them the numbers and showcase experience to influence them to do the right thing along the way. I'm not going to let anybody in with showings at all. Not doing showings. You want me to sell your house, but you don't want anybody to see it? I can do that for you, but it's going to cost you. Probably, if you know what I mean? Like, we have to make sure they're controllable. So when we say I have to speak to my spouse, that could be an objection that's coming in the appointment setting. If it's coming at the presentation, then we messed up by not getting them there at the presentation. If it's coming at the appointment setting, same thing as we got to think about it is I have not delivered so much value or uncovered the transparency and the clarity around the decision-making process. I was on a call the other day. It was an expired call. I called the guy back. He said, send me some information. I sent him a note card, a little Starbucks gift card. I called him back. He said he got it. It was awesome. I started to open up the conversation to set the appointment, and his spouse comes in and starts going, "Who are you talking to?" You can see her in the background. She's fired up. She's like, "Don't you talk to him. Don't give him any information." Right? And he goes, "Oh, well, it's just," he didn't say like, "Oh, this is the awesome agent who called me and he's got a lot of experience." He said something along the lines like, "It's one of the guys that called a bunch of," I was like, "Oh, I know who's driving this one," right? If we're getting the I have to speak to my spouse, it's very similar to the we have to think about it. There's something going on that we haven't uncovered that is getting them to not want to commit to the time. We might be speaking to the passenger versus the driver. Okay, now, when I get that in appointment setting, because I get that, right? We're not always perfect. Sometimes we're dealing with some sort of fire in the background in real estate. It's real estate. We're firefighters, we're cheerleaders, we're therapists, we're all these different types of things. And sometimes we just are not on our A game. And sometimes we get the I have to speak to my spouse. And so we can say, if you go down the road, what do you got to speak to your spouse about? That's a frustrated objection handler. It's not going to lead to a lot of success. What I like to do is I like to say, "Hey, no problem. Quick question for you." This is a good one. Quick question for you. When you go to speak to your spouse about it, how are you going to explain the value that you and I just connected on? The reason why you're interested in possibly sitting down with me, right? Because you have shown that you are interested in having more of a conversation with me, is because we provided value and it's differentiating between the other people you've spoken to. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Great. So when you go to speak to your wife and you go to convince her, who has a very similar mindset as you of not all salespeople are awesome. In fact, a lot of them are horrible. When you go to explain why it's worth it for her to sit down to speak to us, our company, out of curiosity, what are you going to ask her? What are you going to tell her? What are you going to say to her? And I listen. And if they're like, "Well, I'm going to tell her that, you listen intently, you have this, you have this." And if they can eloquently explain that, or if I can tell that I made some sort of actual impact on them, then I'm golden. And if they say, "Well, I'll just say that, a real estate agent wants to sit down." I said, "Let me ask you this. If another real estate agent talked to her and called her on the phone and said, 'I want to sit down with you,' what would she say?" And I almost go into coaching them on how to handle the objection and how to, and I test, are they the driver? Are they the ones? Or are they just trying to politely let me down? And I remind them, I say, "Hey, I totally appreciate it. You got to talk to your wife. You can't just set an appointment for her and dictate to your wife when she's going to be where. Trust me when I tell you, my wife, she had the vows, part of the vows in the marriage where it says like obey the husband. She had that removed out of our vows. So I get it. I really do. She's, and I love her to death. So sounds like your house works like my house. Okay. When you speak to her, what are you going to say? "Well, I don't know what I'm going to say." "Well, hey, I think it would probably help. Correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the reasons why you and I are talking is because I'm going to do A, I'm going to do B, I'm going to do C. I'm going to handle this, this, and this." And that all sounds exactly like what both of you want. Is that correct? Great. Hey, does she happen to be around right now? Is she in the house? You know what? Rather than you talk to her, just do this. Let her know that Josh Pono is going to be calling. Let her know I've got a few questions for her, and let me find out, just get her to take my call, and then we'll decide whether or not it's a good fit. Let her decide whether or not it's a good fit for the appointment. How's that sound? I'll work it that way. I'm just curious about my value. I'm not looking to sell. Okay. Hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. Did you look online for Zillow and Realtor.com and all those things? What did you think about the value they provided you? This one is kind of like just an objection, like a guard, right? Like, hey, no problem. I'm not interested in selling at all. I just want to know what my value is. Well, there's a bunch of different areas where you can get your value online without even talking to us. So, hey, totally understand. I'm not here to sell you on why you need to sell. In fact, I believe it's my mission to educate clients with the most reliable information so they can make the best decisions for you. Out of curiosity, the value of your home, are you looking for it because you need to refinance? Are you looking for it because the online estimates didn't provide you with enough accuracy? What are you looking for? Why is the value of what you're looking for more detailed and important? So-and-so needs the business. I was going to hire so-and-so because they need the business. Hey, totally appreciate where you're coming from. Out of curiosity, when you say they need the business, what does that mean? Seeking to understand, well, the real estate market's been really tough and, they could definitely use the business. Gotcha. Totally understand. So what you're saying is they don't do a lot of business right now, and you would feel bad personally if you gave the business to somebody who doesn't need it when you want to help your friends. Is that right? Gotcha. Out of curiosity, because the best agents in the industry are having some of the best years. They're changing their business. We've had to completely change our business over the last 12 months. The market's completely shifted. Why do you think they don't have enough business? He's a top producer agent and his numbers speak for themselves. LOL, the house is still not under contract. What do you mean by this, Ann? You there still? All right. I don't know what that one means. Signed contract. Gwendolyn. What does that mean? I'm going to use the same agent who sold the house first. Oh, I love this one. When you say sold the house first or who listed the house first, are you talking about a cancel and expired? You're talking about a cancel and expired, right, Linda?
Yeah, actually. Oh,
You're here. All right. So when you have that conversation and you're on the phone, they're like, you know what, I'm going to use the same agent. Gotcha. Well, nobody appreciates loyalty in this business more than me. Some of my most loyal customers have really been an awesome blessing in my life. Hey, out of curiosity, how do you know the agent? How'd you meet him? Oh, well, I met him so-and-so and so-and-so and on. Hey, and that's awesome. And when the property didn't sell, you hired them to sell the property. It's been a tough market. I'll give you that for some agents. When you hired them to sell the property and it didn't sell, why'd they say it didn't sell? Well, they said it was, tough because of the interest rates. Really? They said the interest rates? Well, Josh, come on. The interest rates are high. I do. And not for nothing, Mrs. Seller, 2,100 homes in June. I'm sorry, where are we at? We're in August now. 2,100 homes in July came to the market and 2,047 went pending. So when your agent said, because you were on the market then, when your agent said interest rates were the reason why it didn't sell, even though 99% of all the new properties that came to the market actually went under contract because we have a massive deficit in listings, what did they mean by that? Gotcha. So how many showings were at the property? Well, they had 4 or 5 showings. Really? That's it? Well, it happened in the first few days. Gotcha. And then were there any offers? There must have been offers, right? Well, no, there weren't any offers. Wait. You hired a friend who blamed who said the interest rates were the cause, even though other homes were selling, and then you only had 4 or 5 showings, and then you didn't have any offers. Well, what did the buyers say that didn't buy the home? Well, they didn't really say anything. Well, wait, time out. So they got off the couch, they went to these properties, they looked at the home. It was 4 bedrooms, it was 3 bath, it's beautiful. I mean, the photos look like it's a great house, it's an awesome house. And they went there, and then at the end they were like, wrong fit. We didn't like we didn't like it. No, they said there was nothing wrong with the house, it just wasn't the right fit for them. Interesting. What did the agent say was the not part of the right fit? What was that? Well, they didn't really say. Okay, so let me get this straight. Limited showings, no offers, no feedback, and you're exclusively committed to the agent, even though you never got anything but a lack of accountability. Do you feel like accountability in a business transaction is important? Or is it just not a big deal? You don't really need to sell. You don't really want to go anywhere. You don't really care. Did you want to go? Did you want to get to New Mexico? Did you want to go to ABC? I go down that road. Family member is an agent, same road. Hey, no problem. Why do they say it didn't sell? What are the agents? What are agents doing that causes sellers to have objections in the first place? A lot of things. I asked why they selected another agent. Got you, Gwendolyn. I asked why they selected another agent. Yeah, that one, it's a cool question. Hey, why'd you select somebody? So you can learn and grow. Maybe you can get some feedback, but truthfully, sometimes it's just them. Didn't vibe with the personality. Didn't go well. Didn't vibe with the personality. The source of overcoming objections, the source of overcoming objections, and the way to overcome objections is to understand exactly what they mean by it. Ask relevant questions that are conversation starters. Use the right energy to just say,